Looks like we got some folks jumping on. Hey, everyone.
We'll give everyone a few more minutes, give people some time to join.
If you want to, it would be awesome to see where everyone is joining from today. I see some Okendo folks, but would love to see just where from all over the country everyone's coming from, or where in the world everyone is joining from.
Cleveland,
Right.
Atlanta,
Montreal,
nice. LA,
lots of LA represent.
New Zealand. Very exciting.
Awesome.
Morning, Josh. You're near me.
Sydney.
All right. I heard New Zealand is like Australia, but nothing there can kill you.
It's beautiful.
Is that true, Tom?
New Zealand is beautiful. And any New Zealanders that do notable things Australia, try and adopt them blatantly and call them Australian, be it music or art or whatever.
All right. Got Colorado. I'm pretty sure it's cold there. San Francisco. Yay.
All right. What do you think, Amy? One more minute and we'll get started.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
See, in 1 minute, anyone have any interesting pets? I know Tom's got some really cool cows he was telling us about. Nothing. I guess Tom's cows win.
Come on, someone has to have something quirky. Any snakes or
Dogs.
spiders? Dogs. Nice.
Well, we have a hamster here, Charlie.
What a great name for a hamster. Human names for pets.
Charlie or hamster.
Spiders on the
Spiders
ceiling.
on your ceiling floor. Hopefully you feed them well so they don't feed on you.
All right. I say we jump in.
Let's do it.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Welcome to our first ever customer education webinar. We're so glad all of you could join us. We understand it's a very busy time of year, so thank you all for taking the time to be here. We'll definitely have some time for Q&A at the end, but please feel free to ask a question at any point in the chat during the presentation. We've got our wonderful colleague, Alex, here, who will be monitoring that chat, and he'll let us know if you guys have any questions. Let's get started. All right, today's agenda. We're going to talk about why reviews matter, seeing and understand your ROI results, optimizing your account to improve your ROI, and setting up Okendo and Google Analytics to run the report. Just want to take a little time to introduce our speakers today. Chris McGill is a customer success manager here at Okendo. He brings over 5 years of e-commerce experience to his current role, and he's worked with other e-commerce platforms, so he has a broad understanding of the industry and really knows what drives success for our customers. Tom Fulcher is a principal software engineer here at Okendo, and he oversees development for our on-site review displays, which most of you will know as reviews widgets, and the review capture form. And my name is Amy Santos. I'm a customer enablement manager here at Okendo. I've written many of the help articles in our help center. This is my very first time hosting a live webinar, so I say we just jump right in.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot to cover. Why reviews matter. Today, nearly all of our consumers read reviews and find them essential before deciding to purchase a product. Reviews give your customers extremely valuable, unbiased, and authenticated information to help them make an informed purchasing decision. They inspire trust to ultimately give your shoppers the confidence to purchase from you. This is the key to increasing your conversions. To put it into numbers, 99.9% of customers read product reviews before making a purchase. You may describe your products in detail, but hearing it straight from someone who previously brought them dispels any doubt that they may have about your products. And if anyone is interested in reading about that source, we've linked the article in here for you, and we'll send this information out once we're done. So it's a well-documented fact that customers are more likely to make a purchase after they read a review. And just to drive that point home, customers are willing to spend 31% more with a brand that has excellent reviews. So we want to make sure you're taking full advantage of Okendo's reviews benefits and the features to really highlight and showcase your best reviews. So we know why reviews matters, but it's important to go a layer deeper and look at the ROI they provide. For the brands we partner with, we recognize that every dollar in your marketing budget counts. And given how prices have gone up, we acknowledge that your money must be spent wisely on the right channels. To take it a step further, we know that in order to continue growing and justifying your marketing spend, you must see a significant amount of positive ROI. That's why it's so important to not only understand why reviews in general are important, but also be able to directly tie Okendo's performance to your broader business goals. So instinctively knowing reviews are important is one thing, but being able to tangibly measure and tie your reviews performance to your KPIs is so much more valuable in this current economy. So why, or what is Google Analytics and Okendo, and why is it important? By setting up our integration with Google Analytics, you can see how well your reviews widgets with all of its user-generated content and features performed on your store site. Okendo plus GA tracks your customers' engagement within your reviews widgets and then captures and analyzes that data to see how those interactions impacted your bottom line. And we want all of our customers to have the ability to measure the value of Okendo reviews. So this feature is available across all plans and captures data from all of our widget types. Star rating, media grid, and reviews carousel are just a few examples.
Thanks, Amy. So when we talk about measuring ROI with Okendo and Google Analytics, we've spoke about widgets. And so our definition of a widget here at Okendo is anything that currently appears on your website that helps track user engagement, but also provides the whole reviews platform as a whole. So as Amy mentioned, things like your star ratings, your reviews widget, your media grid, all these different types of items that appear on site, we'd refer to them as a widget. So Okendo plus GA, the integration tracks these interactions with your widgets across some terms. So we're coming up with two terms, the first being a session and the second being a segment. So a session is something where the customer interacts with your widgets and makes a purchase within a specified time frame. Generally, by default, Google determines that a session lasts 30 minutes. Until then, the customer is inactive. But you can actually adjust that limit so that if a customer makes a purchase within a specified time frame, that also counts to the session. So an example that we would see would be something like a customer might browse around a website. They'll interact with one of the Okendo items that are on site, one of our widgets, and then they'll make a purchase. We'll then attribute that to a segment. Amy, do you want to go to the next slide? Thanks. So segments. So as I said, two terms to remember: sessions and segments. So a segment that we define is customers that did interact with our reviews widgets. The other segment is customers that didn't interact with our reviews widget. Once you've set analytics up and you've generated your first analytics report, you'll notice those two clearly defined segments. And we'll speak about the report very shortly. We measure events. They're tracked across the site. Next slide, please, Amy. So we measure events and they're tracked across the site via Okendo, and we track a number of different events. So we'll track things like a user using the free text search or opening or clicking any user-generated content or media items, anything around sorting and filtering. Any sort of click, touch, or screen reader interaction is tracked. These are reported back into your Google Analytics as events. New with Widget Plus, and we've only just released this feature, is we can now actually track how long customers read reviews for within a window. So as they're scrolling through the website, if they pause in our reviews widget, we'll start a timer and we'll track that interaction. That'll then give you the information you need to be able to slice and dice and prepare reports around engagement versus conversion using time as a factor, which is really exciting for us.
Guys, we've got a couple of questions in the chat here about, got one from Olivia. Is GA automatically activated with Okendo? And a follow-up question to that from Katie, is it included in the power plan?
Sure. So GA is not automatically activated with Okendo because there's a bit of setup, and we'll speak about this later on, because it depends on what analytics you're using. There are a few different flavors of Google Analytics. And so once you've set that up, it will be on. You can toggle it on. And GA is included in all plans, not just the power plan. It's every single plan across the board.
Thanks, Tom. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the report and what it all means. We've created an ROI report template to show you exactly how your customers' interactions with our reviews widgets impacted your key metrics. Although Google Analytics starts collecting data immediately after you set it up, we recommend you wait about 3 to 4 weeks before you run the ROI report. And as Tom mentioned earlier, the report displays the comparison between how your review widgets performed when your customers interacted with them versus the store's overall performance, so when they didn't interact with them. As you can see on the report, on the previous slide, the report tracks these key metrics: conversion rate, transactions, revenue, and average order value. Let's dig a little bit deeper into the metrics shown on the report and how you can interpret them. And keep in mind that these are real examples from our customers. Based on this example that we see here, you'll see that Google Analytics attributes a conversion rate of about 15% to customers who interacted with Okendo's reviews widgets. And again, these are customers who actively engage with your reviews within a single session. And likewise, Google attributes about $38,000 of revenue, of total revenue, to customers that engaged with your reviews. So each time your customers interacted with reviews, this value instantly increased. So we can conclude that the overall performance of your reviews widgets was a little over 3 times higher than if customers didn't read a review. It's a nice benchmark to aim for, but there's always room for improvement, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Let's talk a little bit about transactions and average order value. In this example, you'll see that Google Analytics attributes 308 transactions of the total number of transactions as a result of customers interacting with reviews. And you'll see the impact of average order value isn't always as significant as conversion, but we typically see a slight uptick in this number as well. And all of these results were for a specific time frame of 1 month. At this point, you may be wondering, what's the typical result you'll expect to see? Well, we've seen results go as high as 600%. It really depends on a number of factors, such as where you place your widgets, what type of widgets you're using, are your products seasonal? If it was a new or repeat customer interacting with the reviews. Typically repeat customers don't read reviews because they've already established trust with your brand and your products, or if you sell subscription-based products. So now you've collected the data, you've run the report, analyzed the results, but is there anything else you can do to improve these numbers? So I'd like to hand it over to Chris, and he's going to share some actionable advice on how you can increase your ROI, as well as drive home the point why reviews matter.
Thanks, Amy. So if you've been in the e-commerce world for a while, or if you spend enough time scrolling through LinkedIn, you've probably come across some so-called magic formulas. And here at Okendo, we have a magic formula of our own, which is reviews equals interactions times conversion rate times average order value. So we've already seen from the example GA ROI reports that Amy showed that Okendo's widgets have a significant positive impact on those metrics' performance. In other words, to maximize the ROI with Okendo, brands should really focus on optimizing their store to drive more interactions with those Okendo's reviews widgets, and optimize the widgets themselves to drive higher conversions and higher average order values. So what I'd like to do is break this formula down a bit and speak through a few simple optimizations that you can make with your own store and your own reviews program. So we'll start with interactions. So one idea to get started, if you're not already doing this, is to take advantage of as many of our review widgets as possible and add them, for example, to your homepage or your collections pages. We've established that when shoppers interact with Okendo's widgets, brands see improvements in conversion rate, average order value, and ultimately revenue. So the more reviews widgets you can utilize on your site, the better. Another simple idea is to make your widgets more visible by ensuring they're on brand and placed prominently. We know it doesn't necessarily make sense to have all of our widgets at the top of your pages, right? We know that they can't be front and center because you need to have your actual products there, your description, your add to cart. But definitely consider if the widgets are near the footer, consider moving them above any potentially lower value content. Again, just to hammer it home, we've seen that our widgets do provide such a positive impact and a positive ROI. If you can promote them a little bit better, get some more interactions, you'll see some great results from that. Next, another idea is to add a dedicated reviews page. So this has a side benefit of increasing SEO, but it's another great additional touch point where customers can see your top reviews as they come in. And they can also see site reviews if you enable that option in your review capture form. That way shoppers can see what real customers have to say, not only about your products themselves, but also about their experience with your brand in general. And finally, Tom is going to hop in here next to talk about our Widget Plus features and how that can enhance interactions. But one feature I'd like to first highlight is the ability to toggle on free text search within your review widget. This opens up a whole new way for customers to engage with your reviews widget. Instead of scrolling through all of your reviews, they can simply search for specific content that has been submitted by real customers. And then that way they can view reviews on a more personalized basis. Like I said, instead of scrolling through everything, they can search for specific keywords, find reviews that include those, and then that will go ahead and help inform their purchase decision. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Tom.
Thanks very much, Chris. So earlier last year, we launched Widget Plus. So it was a complete rewrite of our widget offering. So everything that you see on site. We aimed for high impact reviews, a more streamlined photo and video collection, things like product attributes. So did the t-shirt fit? Was the makeup oily and dry? And you contribute sort of personalized data to the reviews that you've got on site. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to incorporate that with things like customizable displays. So we wanted these easy on-site displays without needing design resources or an agency, or to help an agency simply just get you onboarded faster. We rewrote them with speed in mind as well. So we optimized the widgets so that we only bring the content on site that you need and nothing else. So we're not bringing in the kitchen sink. So for example, if you've only got the star ratings on your collections page, for example, we'll only bring in just the tiny snippets of code required to render those star ratings and nothing to do with anything else like a media grid or a reviews widget. We've coupled all of this with more enhanced analytics tracking. As I said, we've just released time-based tracking as well, which is super exciting for us. But the other thing that we've also really done as well is focus on ADA and WCAG requirements as well, and that's something we're really proud of. So when we rebuilt the widget, we had these three pillars in mind. So performance, only load in what you need and when you need it. We're really fortunate at Okendo. Accessibility is a first-class citizen. It also has an SEO benefit, but it also opens you up to a wider audience. And last was customization. You know, merchants you've worked really hard to cultivate this brand identity, and we want to be able to fold seamlessly into that and actually help enhance the brand, because customers then become part of your brand. Their interactions and their reviews provide an authenticity to the brand that you haven't seen before. And then being able to collect that data and harness that data through the use of analytics, you're able to then see the value that customers are seeing and giving back to the store as well, in increased ROI and conversion values as well. So what you can see is you can customize to match the look and feel. We offer the widgets both on site as well as headless environments. Here's an example of one of our largest merchants, which is Skims, which is a headless merchant. And they're currently operating on Shopify's Hydrogen, which is a new headless platform. You can see that they've customized a really simplified version of the widget because they felt that text-based content provided that authenticity and part of their brand story. I'll just hand over now back to Chris. Thanks so much to talk about conversion rate and average order value and some strategies to further enhance that. Thanks, Chris.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Tom. So yeah, as Tom just mentioned, we're going to talk about some strategies for optimizing your review widgets to drive higher conversion rates and higher average order values. These two metrics are very interconnected and interrelated. So a lot of the strategies and optimizations that I have to talk about really help influence both of those metrics. As I mentioned, they really do go hand in hand. And this is because optimized reviews provide key social proof that helps shoppers more confidently make buying decisions. And this buyer confidence leads to higher conversion rates on a per product basis. But if you consider on a per shopping session basis, it may also inspire customers to go ahead and say, add that higher valued bundle or kit to their cart versus a standalone product, or give them confidence to add more products to their cart, all of which also increases average order value. So here are a few ideas to get you started. First, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So 90% of information transmitted to the brain is actually visual, and we process images 60,000 times faster than text. So an easy win here, if you're not already doing this, is incorporate user-generated content into your reviews. This allows shoppers to connect your product with real customers already using it. Next is attribute filters. This is similar to the free text search option that I mentioned. Attribute filters allow customers to more efficiently sort through reviews and find the information that they're looking for, whether that means seeing reviews from customers with demographics and interests similar to themselves, or sort reviews that call out specific product attributes such as quality, effectiveness, fit, etc. As a side note, this is a huge reason that you should be collecting profile and product attributes if you're not already doing so. So definitely look into collecting those as well. Next, turn on Q&A. So a lot of people don't realize this, but this is actually a core feature of Okendo as well. So outside of reviews, Q&A fits right alongside that. The idea being, if one customer has a question, odds are that others have the same question as well. So utilizing Q&A may provide just the information needed to help convert a customer who might otherwise lack the confidence to add the product to their cart. And then last would be the aggregate display module for reviews. So this surfaces all the most important product information right at the top of the reviews widget. This empowers customers with key information to help with conversion. It includes information such as average star rating, overall percentage of customers who recommend the product, ratings distributions, so everyone who rated 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and how those are distributed. The attribute aggregate, so for example, the overall fit, right? So if something is too big, too small, or just right, you can see on average how customers are rating that. And then finally, you can also display user-generated content right within that aggregate module at the top. So a really great example from one of our brands, you can see here, Midori, they saw a 241% increase in conversion rate and a 12% increase in AOV by employing some of these tactics. So in addition to displaying the star rating and the review itself, they're displaying the customer name, the fact that they're a verified buyer, right? They're a real customer, the specific variant of the product being reviewed, whether or not the customer recommends the product, profile attributes, product attributes like fit and quality, as well as user-generated content. And they're including that all within a single, nicely designed review block. And a few more tips for increasing conversion rate. Publish negative reviews. So this may seem counterintuitive, but we get asked all the time. And the answer is yes, you should definitely publish negative reviews. Not only is it the ethical thing to do, but as you can see in the slide, purchase likelihood peaks when the average star rating of a product is between 4.2 to 4.5 stars. So if you're only publishing all your, mostly all your 5-star reviews, customers actually get suspicious. They don't necessarily trust you. You can see negative reviews have a positive impact because they help establish that trust and authenticity. And then last, respond publicly to negative reviews. In the same vein, it shows shoppers that you care about the customer's experience. It builds that trust and authenticity when you're willing to reach out and make things right. And that in turn inspires more confidence in a purchase decision as well. Last tip here is you'll also want to make sure that if you're not doing this, you are utilizing groups for similar products, either those with multiple variants or bundled or kitted products. This helps share reviews across products. So if one product doesn't necessarily have a ton of reviews, maybe it's a newer variant or version of a product, you can still show reviews from other variants or versions of a product. Specifically in the case of kits and bundles, say for example, you have a special holiday bundle that you just introduced, and it includes some of your customers' favorite, most popular products, but the bundle itself has no reviews yet. You can go ahead and use grouping to instantly populate the bundle with those existing reviews. So that will help increase conversion rate right there, right? There's more reviews that customers can browse through and read and be confident in buying that newly released bundle. This feature can also help increase and enhance average order value in that reviews can be shared back and forth between the bundles and the individual products. So say, for example, a customer is browsing an individual product and they come across a review for the related bundle as they're scrolling through those reviews. It can actually inspire them to click on that bundled product and add that higher valued bundle to their cart instead. So another great kind of side benefit and way to increase average order value is through grouping. So some key takeaways from those optimizations. Again, the magic formula that we use here, revenue equals interactions times conversion rate times AOV. So whatever you can do to improve your review displays with those metrics in mind is ultimately going to lead to more revenue for you. Use our widgets in more places to drive more interactions. Optimize existing widgets, especially the reviews display widget. Migrate to Widget Plus to improve reviews widget performance. Thanks, Tom, for going through that. And use additional features such as attributes, groups, and even rewards to complement your reviews displays. So now over to Tom to talk through the integration.
Thanks very much, Chris. So as asked before in Q&A, how do we get set up? How do we get started? It is a little bit nuanced in part, just to understand that there are different flavors of GA, but the Okendo side of things is super simple. So the first thing you need to do is you need to determine which Google Analytics version you're using. The current version of Google Analytics is actually Universal Analytics. They're going to twilight this next year. And they're going to be replacing it with a new version of Google Analytics called GA4. There's Google Tag Manager. And what Google Tag Manager is, it's not a tracking tag in and of itself, but it's a way to aggregate all your tracking tags into one. What that means is that if you're running things like your TikTok, Facebook, Meta, double-click advertising, all that kind of thing, and Google Analytics, you can roll them all into one single tag that you can put onto your site and then control when those tags get fired. It's something we really recommend for people with multiple tags because it means that then you're not managing them all across your themes. You've got one tag, one point of administration, and one point of publish and release. Global site tag is the way that you would employ things like GA4 outside of Google Tag Manager, but Google Tag Manager is probably our preference. If you're having an issue trying to work out what Google Analytics version you're currently using on your store, please reach out to support. We're more than happy to help you. So generally what you do is you determine your GA version and you'd set that up within your Shopify store. Once that's set up successfully within your store, either on your theme or via Shopify's straight Universal Analytics support, you'd jump into the Okendo admin and you would go into the settings and widgets section of our admin. We'll share the slides after this, of course. And then under Google Analytics Provider, you'd simply select Universal Analytics if you're using Universal Analytics, Tag Manager if you're using Tag Manager, or Global Site Tag if you're using Google Analytics 4 outside of Google Tag Manager. We do have setup instructions and we've got a really helpful video. I don't expect you to remember all of this. And if I get nerdy, please ask questions. Happy to translate nerd to English. I apologize in advance. So if we jump over to the next slide, once you've set that up and you've hit save, you can use, we've got two help articles to run a report. So the first one is our Universal Analytics report. And then our second one is the GA4 report. So understanding what flavor of analytics you're using is probably the trickiest thing about installing. After that, it's pretty seamless. So when you click the link to run the report, it'll ask you to sign into your Google account. I would suggest that you use the Google account that you registered your analytics with, or that you're a user with in admin. You then can select a profile on the right-hand side where the orange and yellow graph is. If you have multiple profiles set up for slicing and dicing data in different ways, that's where you can select that. And then you can pick a date range. And again, going back to segments and sessions, you'll see those clearly delineated segments where the fluoro sort of aqua color is your Okendo merchants, that's your Okendo segment. And the blue is customers that interacted without engaging with Okendo widgets. Next slide, thanks, Amy. So a few things to keep in mind when you're getting set up. And again, we're always here to help. Please feel free to reach out. We love helping our merchants get on board. So if you don't know which version of GA you're using, there's a really helpful blog article. There's also a fantastic YouTube channel called Loves Data. And he explains GA identification. He has some really great articles on integrating different flavors of GA with Shopify. One of the big things is multiple tracking tags on store profiles can cause issues. So we find a lot of merchants might have an old Universal Analytics account. They've added another one on top, and then they've added another one or a GA4 account. And so that can cause issues with tracking and sort of getting accurate data. Universal Analytics, as I said, is being twilighted. What we would strongly suggest is get started with UA and GA4 in parallel. If you're currently a Universal Analytics user, set up a GA4 profile at the same time. It has minimal impact to your site, but what it means is that when they finally twilight Universal Analytics and they deprecate it, you're going to have tracking data from this whole time forward in Google Analytics 4. An easy way to do that is to switch to Tag Manager, run both those tags inside of Tag Manager. When you run the report, use the email that you've added to your analytics account because that is associated with your Google Analytics profile. One of the things that you'll need to do when you first set up Google Analytics is enable e-commerce tracking. So e-commerce tracking lets you pass the information from the checkout, so your line items, the purchase and customer information through into analytics. If that's not enabled, then you won't see that e-commerce conversion rate and that sort of financial information being funneled into your analytics. A big caveat at the moment, Shopify doesn't support Google Analytics 4's e-commerce tracking out of the box. So if you're using Universal Analytics and you provide your Universal Analytics tracking tag, you'll get checkout and conversion for free if you've enabled e-commerce tracking. If you're using Google Analytics 4, Shopify hasn't rolled this out yet. There are some ways to work around feeding financial information into your Google Analytics 4 profile, but it is quite nuanced and it requires some manual intervention in your checkout page. And there are some excellent articles, and that Loves Data YouTube channel has a really good article on how to get started today. We're tracking both and getting e-commerce data funneled in. But at the moment, GA4, even though it is officially released, still has a little bit of a way to go. But I wouldn't let that discourage you setting up both profiles in parallel at the moment, just because it will make your transition a bit more smooth. All right, thanks so much.
Thanks, Tom. All right, let's go over a few next steps. So what are your next steps? Set up your Okendo and Google Analytics integration. That's step one, obviously. And again, if you need any help with that, we are here for you to help that. You can run the report. As Tom mentioned, there's different reports for different versions of Google Analytics that you're using, but that's all listed in the help articles. You can find it there, or again, call us, talk, or email us. We'll be glad to help you. You can reach out to success@okendo.io. You can email us if you have any questions, and we would love to discuss account optimization more with you. Each merchant varies, your accounts vary. So definitely book a call with us and we'll have a CSM go over that with you. That about wraps up our presentation. We are more than willing to stick around if you have any questions. Thank you so much for attending. We hope this answered some of your questions about account optimization, Google Analytics. But yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everyone. as Amy said, we'll stick around a few minutes for questions. I just wanted to add one thing. If you're going through this and we know that we serve a whole range of merchants, and maybe you're watching this and your head was spinning about Google Analytics, GA, what is that? As Tom mentioned, our team is happy to help out our merchants. We have some resources that we'll share and link to, but we also have an amazing partners team and amazing partners and agencies that we work with. So also feel free to reach out if you want someone to help you out with Google Analytics in general. I'm sure we can get you connected with an agency that is the right fit that will help take you to the next level from a GA standpoint as well.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone.
Looks like Oscar asked, can we please email out today's deck? I believe we'll be sharing the webinar after this, correct?
We will be sharing the recording, all the slides. Yes, you'll get that in a day or two. Thanks, Oscar.
Yeah. And then I know there was some questions that came in via the chat during the webinar. I believe those have already been addressed, but definitely if you feel like we haven't addressed those adequately or you have some follow-ups, feel free to chat those in right now.
So yeah, Katie, to your point on recommending whether to use star ratings on the collections page, it usually depends on your brand and how you'd like to present it, but we find a lot of merchants really like to use them underneath the product description or price there on the collections grid, because it gives a short, sort of sharp, snappy overview of how that product is doing to a potential customer. So by quickly able to see that star rating, you're able to then sort of get an idea of the quality of that product really quickly. On a side note as well, just to incorporate further into the brand, we've just released custom star shapes as well. So they're not stars as well. You can do hearts, barrels, cactuses, wine glasses, whatever you'd like. So yeah, more than happy to run through some articles on that at another date as well.
Yeah, big fan of that. Custom shapes.
I
Awesome.
like the other ones.
It looks like I'm not seeing any other questions come through. So I think we're probably good to wrap it up, everyone. Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks everyone for your time today.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.